Okay, so I'd like to talk a little bit about spatial location. You can see that these lights represent 4 speakers. I'm going to stop this for a minute. Now I can step through these one at a time, these positions, just to show you the movement of the sound. Front right, rear left. Okay, so that's one pattern. Where is that pattern coming from? Right now it's coming from voltage control of this unit, which is the 227. It's a Buchla 227E, and it's a quadraphonic spatial locator. And how it works is that the voltages go in 2 places, X and Y. X is going from front to back, and Y is going from left to right. And how do I get those voltages? Right now I'm getting them from this little sequencer. So I'm going to step through these stages one at a time, and I'm going to show you the correspondence of this front left to the voltages here in the sequencer. So the voltages here are 0, 0, and that creates front left. I go to the next stage, and I get 1, 0, and that brings me to the front right. One more stage, I get 1, 1, high, high. The next stage, low, high. So that positions the sound with the voltage. If I step through it quickly, you'll see that it moves. Right now it's in a circle, but this is voltage and it's very flexible. So for instance, if I change this to 3 stages instead of 4, it's going to go in a different pattern. Okay, so this is voltage control. Let's hear how that sounds right now when I turn this on. Now, the beauty of this is that the sound moves in time with the music, and only electronic music has this ability. So because we work in control voltage to do everything in the sound, so the pitches, the envelope, and so forth, it's all integrated. Another component of spatial sound, this quadraphonic arena of movement, is close and far away. So it's not just the position of the sound here, 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 and here, but maybe the sound comes in close and goes far away. How is that done? Again, not easy in today's situation, but I have here an H9, and I want to talk about that a little bit. So this H9, one of them is here, one is here, and they are Bluetoothed to these iPads. How do I use these H9s to enhance the spatial movement? Well, for instance, on this H9, I'm using a reverberation program. So it's called Earth Hall Short. And I have here a modification, which is a control voltage input. And what I'm doing is I'm taking the same control voltage that I'm using for the space, and I'm going to use it for the balance of the mix. So if it's down here, there'll be less reverb and it'll feel close. And if the voltage takes it up further, then it will seem far away. So let's just look at that movement that's going to be caused by the control voltage. Okay, so we'll turn these up, and I'm going to hit play over here. This doesn't have the movement. Okay, so let's put it here. we're not listening to this one, so I'm gonna take that one off. So now, so what do we notice about this movement? It's random. So the voltage that I have going in to this spatial controller is a random pulsed voltage. So every time the sequencer moves to a new stage, it sends a pulse to this sample and hold. And I've chosen to take this voltage out, which is a random voltage. I use random voltages for spatial control to increase the excitement of a rhythmic section. So let's just say that every time you're in a section of your music, you want to design the spatial movement to enhance the music. There are different ways to move the sound. What are they? Basically, I think of them as three distinct approaches. Random, which we just looked at. Another is continuous and maybe circular. The other is a discrete movement. So I'm going to take a sustained sound from this unit. Okay, let's see if we can find this. This is an analogue, and it's plugged in here. I'm going to go down here, put it on hold, and hit this pitch, say C, and I'm going to hold a sustained tone. This is a sustained sound. Now I'm going to move that sound in space, and you're going to hear a rhythm. So I'm using this sequencer to control the XY axis of the four speakers. And you can hear that just the spatial movement alone creates a rhythm. Let's add a higher tone. Okay, so this is important to realize, is that spatial movement is rhythm. That's why these instruments are superior spatial controllers, because the movement is totally integrated with the rest of the music. So if you, for instance, apply post-production space to a soundtrack, it's very hard to integrate it with the actual rhythm of the music. And if your spatial movement is not integrated, it can create a mess, because you've got one movement on top of another movement, and it doesn't work because we hear it as rhythm. Let's say if this is on, so the difference here, I have another knob here. Okay, that's hard to hear in this context, but what this knob is doing is it's changing the slope between these stages. So it can be very smooth, in which case the sound is more continuous, or it can be very discrete, in which case the sound is jumping like that. So you probably don't have the hardware to produce this type of control. You probably don't have a 227E, and you probably don't have a sequencer. I didn't have one either. I had to have it made. But it's important to realize that this type of control is available to you if you can get the manufacturers to make the tools that you need. Buchla did this, and it's very simple, very direct, very useful. Let's put a sound on here. It's a swirl mode. On top. I've seen some approaches to spatial location and they haven't been as clear-cut as what Buchla did here. And so I encourage you to investigate this 227E, and especially if you're an instrument designer, and see if you can simplify the whole process of spatial location.